InnerQuest explores various pathways through which you can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe and apply it to personal, professional, and spiritual growth. This program, featuring accomplished practitioners, educators, and authors, is provided by Infinity Foundation, an innovative center for holistic studies and research. We invite you to share this journey with us.
Hello, welcome to InnerQuest. My name is Jay Stone, host for today, and our guest is Dr. Cari Jacobson. Welcome, Dr. Jacobson.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I call you Dr. Cari?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Dr. Cari is passionate about helping people achieve and maintain optimal health and wellness by balancing the body physically, chemically, emotionally, and energetically. She is known for her eclectic style of integrative healing modalities, working with people of all ages to empower self-love and bring them to balance. I'm really looking forward to hearing about how you achieve balance and achieve self-love. She's a healer's healer and truly believes that when we are in balance, we thrive. So what led you to chiropractic school, and where did you go to study?
So it's an interesting path because I grew up in Deerfield. I was a musical theater girl. That was me. I was like performer girl. And I went to Indiana University undergrad. I studied recreation park management. I didn't want anything to do with the sciences. And then I went away, I traveled, and all these different things happened, but I injured my knee, and I ended up in a chiropractor's office. And I feel like in the same breath that I said I could never be a chiropractor, I think I was signing up for pre-med prerequisites to become a chiropractor. Because I was just so amazed at the work and how much it changed my life. So my life really took a 180. I went from musical theater to event planning to chiropractic, to doing pre-med prerequisites.
Well, I have interviewed chiropractors before, and they told me as a result of their injuries, they ended up becoming chiropractors themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard some very serious injuries.
Yeah. For me, little knee injury, a little ACL from skiing. What was amazing about this particular doctor is that she used muscle testing, and I had never seen that before. I'd seen a chiropractor. I played sports. I was a dancer. So from the time I was 12, I think I was seeing a chiropractor. But the little back pain and aches and stuff, it would come back. I would go back. I would get adjusted. But I never saw muscle testing before that. And this woman showed me that if you touch a certain area and there's something not right with it, this was like my understanding then, that the muscle that was strong now goes weak. And then she would adjust it and touch that same area. My muscle that was strong would get strong.
Would you want to show the audience with me, do a little demonstration? I know we didn't rehearse this.
Sure, no, I'm happy. This is what I do.
Okay.
So I didn't know, but at the time I learned it was called applied kinesiology. And I'm going, okay, so what is this applied kinesiology? And I actually didn't know the extent of what applied kinesiology is, but kinesiology is the study of, movement, of, body, the mechanics of body movements. And so applying that to the physical body, what does that look like? And applied kinesiology uses what's called manual muscle testing, which is sort of like a reflex. Like if you're in a doctor's office and someone, uses the hammer on your knee and your leg kicks, you don't think about that. It's a reflex. There's a neurological pathway that sends a signal to the brain that it's supposed to kick. And then that's what happens. And it happens, before a second.
Would we say it's an automatic response?
Sure, or a reflex.
Yeah.
Yeah, to an external stimuli. Whether it's something physical, like the hammer hitting the knee, or like in my office, it might be something physical, it might be a touch, it might be something you're thinking about.
So how do you use applied kinesiology to create balance and self-love?
So it's used as a diagnostic tool.
Okay.
So you're looking to see, in true basic applied kinesiology, you're looking at what facilitates a muscle, what inhibits the muscle. So it's not about strong or weak. You're really looking at function, to restore function back into the body. So how do you do that? I look at it by using reflex muscle testing to see what the body needs, the order with which it needs it. I really believe specificity matters. So I'm inching over towards you because I'm going to do a demonstration.
Okay.
So if we just hold your arm straight, a true muscle test wouldn't necessarily be just the straight arm muscle test, but this is just a way for me to sort of read the body, if you will, the reflex testing. So just hold strong.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want to just meet your thing, so just hold strong. And just state your name.
Jay.
Okay, so good thing you're very congruent with that. So your body tells me, yes, I am congruent. My name's Jay. Okay. So just say my name's Henry.
My name is Henry.
And hold strong.
Okay.
And there's like a give. So there's either just a give, or there's nothing I can do to push to budget, or it just gives way. And so if you say my name's Henry.
My name is Henry.
And hold strong.
Okay.
And you're fighting me.
But
it's not going.
Yeah.
And just say my name's Jay.
My name is
Jay. And hold strong.
Okay.
Good. And
I can feel it lifting up instead of going down.
And so, did I push harder when you said my name's Henry? So, because a lot of people go, well, I don't know.
No, I can feel the strength emanating from my body when I say Jay, and when I say Henry, the strength is less.
Right. So we're ultimately looking to see what your body is happy with or congruent with, and where there's incongruencies.
I just had an aha. So when I'm strongest when I'm in truth.
Yes.
Or congruent, as you put it.
Yeah, and we want people to get more into their truth, because to me, I feel like, so in applied kinesiology, you're looking at what's called the triad of health: structural, biochemical, emotional. So if one side of the triad is out of balance.
That was pretty quick. Okay, you
like
want to do a little bit slower.
Okay, so structural being the base.
So this would be the alignment of the spine and.
Right.
Okay.
So your musculoskeletal system.
Okay.
Biochemistry or nutrition, and then the emotional side. So.
And they're all interconnected, hence
everything's interconnected. So if one side falls down, everything else kind of crumbles. And I would say that there's really no argument in that stress affects us physiologically, meaning if we're nervous, people get butterflies in their stomach. They might even get sick to their stomach. When we feel angry, we can get headaches. It affects us. But so does, similarly, going out and eating a bunch of junk food. We don't feel very good after that.
Well, it's our body weighing in on what we just ate.
Right.
Yeah.
And it might not be an immediate effect, because some people go, I feel fine if I have a bag of chips and I eat some candy. It's like, okay, how did you wake up the next morning? Did you sleep well? Did you wake up energized and feeling vital or not? And so my goal is to help people find their full potential, to bring out their best self. So about almost 6 years ago now, I opened the Optimal Holistic Health Center in Glenview. And the tagline for Be Optimal is bringing out your best self. Because I really feel like there's no cookie cutter approach with anyone. I don't do the same thing with each person every time I see them, or with each person that I see. It's different all the time.
What dictates the different approach you take with each client, or with each individual session with one client?
So, several things. First, it depends on what the person's coming in with in terms of their complaints, and what their goals and intentions are, so that I'm not just putting it on them. And I also let the body guide through muscle testing what is most optimal for this particular person on this particular day. And, I treat people as little as newborn babies. So they can't really say what's going on. Their parents can. So sometimes we will surrogate muscle test through the mom or whatever.
So the mother will hold the baby, and then.
And I'll test on the mom, or I'll bring somebody else in case there's something to do with the mom or whatever. But ultimately, there's something really beautiful about just basic chiropractic and palpating, feeling the spine and doing an unwinding for a newborn baby. And so it could be something that simple and just a few minutes long versus someone who just came in who was a teenager who hasn't been able to eat solid food in over a year, literally. And that session actually lasted 2 hours. So one door opened, another door opened, another door opened to find wherever the imbalance was for this particular young man.
And now, like I had a friend with severe scoliosis. I mean, you could see this, how the spine, you know, and I would assume there'd be nothing a chiropractor can do to get that spine over. But I know she went to chiropractors and she did feel relief, and that it made.
Well, and here's what chiropractors do for something like that. If they're born with that, some scoliosis is functional, meaning like their muscles got out of balance for a long enough time that it kept pulling the spine and pulling the spine and pulling the spine, and so when they bend a certain way, their spine curves. Some people, probably like your friend, was born with some kind of curve.
Yes.
Where chiropractic works for that is it prevents a progression of it. Mm-hmm. Because without it, because I'm seeing a handful of people actually with congenital scoliosis, and they're going a traditional route by wearing a brace as well, but just wearing the brace alone, they kept progressing. And finally the mom, who was seeing a chiropractor, decided, you know, that would probably help my daughter.
And how old was the daughter?
She's 13.
Okay.
I started seeing her at 11.
Like critical age.
Critical age. Growing like a weed.
Yeah.
And as they start to grow, it can start to pull the muscles and pull things so that the curve, and that's what was happening, the curve kept getting worse to the point where it was very worrisome for the health of her and for her future. And she likes to ride horses. She likes to be a dancer. And so we allow her to continue to be the dancer that she wants to be and ride her horses, and to do it without pain and also without a really intense progression of what the scoliosis is.
And do you actually see changes in X-rays when you're working with someone with scoliosis?
I have seen it. In her case, we'll find out soon. Initially, what happened was it just stopped progressing, because it hadn't. Each month it kept getting worse. So the first test, if you will, the retest for her, showed that there was no progression. It had actually stopped. The goal is that we can get it even just a little bit less than where it progressed to. So that's the goal. You know, so it's something as extreme as that to, like, I have a three and a half year old who has crazy fluid in her ears, and my goal is to prevent her from getting tubes in the ear. Mm-hmm. And she can't hear, actually. She's so filled with fluid. She was sick all winter long. And so mom came in and said, you know, she was sick all winter. Can you help? And
what does the allopathic doctor say?
Let's just wait it out and see if they drain, and if not, then we'll put tubes in.
And so she'd have the tubes the rest of her life?
I think so. I think that's how it works. I don't know exactly how it works. They place them in. I don't think that they remove them. And I'm not totally sure of what that process is. I think there's a time and a place. I just feel that if I could prevent it, I'd much rather not have that invasive surgery on such a little girl.
And do you think diet would help her?
Diet would.
You're smiling when you say that.
I am, because
it's something you've recommended, and it's like not
because
getting
people don't love to change their diet, and especially with kids who are picky, it's hard. But I feel like it's harder not to, you know. And there's so many options out there now that give you enough of a variety. But the reason I smile is because milk and dairy are a biggie. Because dairy of any kind, milk, yogurt, cheeses, they're mucus producing. So it's just going to fill her up more. So is anything white, you know, eating lots of breads and noodles and things like that. It all, you know, refined sugar, that all, and she loves candy, of course. Yeah. What 3-year-old doesn't, who's been given candy? She wants more and more and more. So it just creates more and more mucus. It produces more inflammation, and any, you know, symptom could then progress and get worse, you know?
Yeah.
So it's hard to wean a kid off of that stuff when that's been part of what they get. And baby steps. help.
Now, you call yourself a holistic physician.
Yeah.
Why do you use that title?
I use it because I don't just, for lack of a better way of saying it, rack and crack. I really look at the whole body. As an applied kinesiologist, I look at how everything is connected and interwoven. So how, your vertebrae or your spine would be connected to a specific muscle. So for example, like T8 in your thoracic spine. That level is generally associated with the liver. In Chinese traditional medicine, when you look at the 5 elements in Chinese traditional medicine, the liver is associated with emotions of anger and resentment and depression and frustration and emotions like that.
But usually isn't there positive emotions associated with all 5 elements?
Sure.
Yeah.
But in general, when we're talking just imbalance, where there would be an imbalance, those are usually where we store those particular emotions. Where like the kidney and bladder would be more like fear and paralyzed will and crying and things like that. And it's not to say crying's bad. It's just it can be stored in that area, and that can create an imbalance. So we just want to look at all those things. And then.
So did you learn the 5-element theory and kinesiology when you were going through your chiropractic training, or did that come afterwards, something you were just attracted to?
Well, I went to school knowing I wanted to do applied kinesiology. They don't teach it in school. It was something I had to learn outside of school. So I went through a certification program. It's 100 hours, and it's so complex because it is a bit of Chinese traditional medicine, how the meridians run through the body. It is looking at all aspects of the structure, from the musculoskeletal point of view to the neurological point of view to how things express physiologically and pathologically and biochemically and all of that stuff, and how it all interlinks in this incredibly complex body that is what we humans are. So in so doing, in looking at what's the triad of health, I also became certified in a whole lot of other things outside of school. So it took me 300 hours before I even chose to sit to certify for the certification in applied kinesiology, because again, like the first 100 hours just felt like it was like whew, way over my head, like going, what are they talking about? But I knew I was fascinated, and I knew that the results, I would see results in every person that would get up there. And I go, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense that would link to this, and that's always been a problem of mine, but they never stated that. The physician was guided to that, and so that just amazed me. And then taking more nutritional classes and learning more about the biochemistry and how all of that works. So I use homeopathy, and I use nutritional supplements or nutraceuticals.
Can you give some examples of nutritional supplements, or would you call it nutritional
nutraceuticals?
Yeah. Instead of pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because food is medicine, and so I used to argue and say, what's the difference between eating, just eating food but taking all these supplements and taking like a pharmaceutical drug for the rest of your life? There's no difference. But I would say that's not really true. I kind of argue against what I used to say, in the sense that we don't fully get what we think we're getting from our food anymore. The soil's very depleted of nourishment and nutrients. So like the bunch of spinach that you would get in the 1970s would yield like 338 milligrams of iron. In 1990s, it would be like that same bunch of spinach would have about 38.
So 1/10 of it.
And then by 2000, it was like 3.8. So we're in 2016. It's just, we're not getting what we think.
Yeah.
Even if we're buying organic and we think we're doing so great, or we grow our own, we might be getting a little bit more.
Well, actually, I know a writer that, he looked at the comparison like from 2000 to the 1990s, and he called up and inquired, and they told him, well, we don't evaluate the data, we just put it out there.
Yeah.
So
right.
What good is collecting the information if you're not going to act on it? Well,
Right.
You obviously are, so.
Right. So, and then I've got certified in the Lifeline technique, as you mentioned earlier, Dr. Darren Weissman,
yeah.
Who I had a wonderful, fortunate opportunity to work with and alongside with in the same office with him for almost 4 years. And he's still, he's family to me. And then I also got certified in neuroemotional technique. And so most of that happened actually prior to me graduating. I took something called total body modification, which looks at the physiology, neurological integrative systems, which looks a little bit more at the neurology and how brain connects with brain and brain with body. So there's all these different techniques and modalities. And my whole thing is if all you have is a hammer, then all you really see is a nail. But if you have a whole slew of other tools
in your toolkit,
then, there's no limit. Infinite possibilities in the body. Again, it's just so complex.
or as Darren would say, infinite love and gratitude.
Infinite love and gratitude,
Yeah.
exactly. So that would be where I would call myself more of a holistic physician in that I'm really looking at all aspects of how the body functions mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, hormonally, all of it. And I've seen everything, from everything to everything, really, in terms of symptoms.
Do you ever teach classes?
I do. We have a free health class, actually, at my office, at least twice a month. And I'm really big, doctor in Latin means to teach. So I feel like educate first, and then treat. It allows people to feel empowered, and to really move with.
And so are you teaching the classes?
Yeah, so I teach, there's another doctor in my office, she teaches one a month, I teach one a month. And then every now and again we do specialty classes, and actually I have a class coming up at Infinity. April 20, it's a Wednesday, I want to say April 27th. So that's coming up, and it's all about the fuel we put in affects how we function. So it's actually all about how do we eat well, how do we do it easily, how do we do it on a busy schedule, and what is this thing about gluten that we keep hearing, and what is this thing about dairy and corn that we keep hearing, and so just to clarify
And anything you want to say about nutrition, since you're going to be teaching a class about it, any if you were going to give 3 tips to the audience or to your clients, what would those tips be?
In general, I would say we're made up of water. So if you're not putting good quality water in your body, first and foremost, prior to even food, you're in trouble. You need to be hydrating yourself with good quality water. Tap water, it's just not good quality. There's too much in there that is unknown.
Now, I once went to a health food store, and they actually test your level of hydration. Is that something you would do, or do you think it's a valuable test?
I'm not totally familiar with that test.
Okay.
I don't do it. There are ways, applied kinesiology-wise, that I would kind of look into the body to see if someone's moving from dehydration. Kidneys, the muscle associated with kidneys would be your psoas muscle. If we had a table here, I'd start working on you. We could show everybody if you were dehydrated.
Okay. Well, I've heard it said if you're craving water or you're thirsty, you've already dehydrated.
Totally. There's a book called "Your Body's Many Cries for Water. You're Not Sick, You're Just Thirsty," and it's by a guy who has a really long, I can't even pronounce his name, but it's so true. I mean, he talks about headaches, allergies, cramping of muscles, all different kinds of things like that happen as a result of people not getting enough water. So I would say that's a start. Second thing I tell people is avoid wheat, sugar, corn, soy, and dairy. And they go, well, what's left to eat? I go, eat like you're living off the land. Eat, as hormone-free, antibiotic-free, grass-fed, beef or meat or whatever. Eat fresh organic vegetables and fruits, things that you could harvest yourself, so to speak. As close locally and as close to the living off the land as you can. You
mentioned avoid soy, but let's say the Japanese have the longest life expectancy, and their diet is loaded with soy.
But it's not. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Okay.
The research done on soy was done on fermented soy. Fermented soy is phenomenal as an anti-estrogenic.
Oh, soy like in soy sauce or miso.
Right. Soy in Asia is used as a condiment. It's not a protein substitute. It's an incomplete protein. Soy that's unfermented, which is what we see in America as tofu and soy milk and things like that, that It's estrogenic in nature. It can affect the thyroid. It's just not a healthy thing in general. So when moms are putting their baby on soy milk instead of other options,
Well, that I could see.
yeah, it's not. That's just not going to be great.
Tofu, just the way it's made, it's the ingredients is just soybeans, water, salt, and then there's a starter. I forget.
Right, and soybeans in and of itself,
Yeah.
that's the product that is not as clean and as pure as we think, and where all the research was done to show all the health benefits of it. So all the wonderful health benefits of soy are really actually fermented soy, which I would
Okay.
highly recommend, especially for someone experiencing something like cancer or things like that.
Would that be considered a probiotic?
No.
Okay.
No, but I would recommend a really solid, wonderful probiotic. Because you asked me specifically, like, what nutritional supplements, or you said something like that. So I would say I've discovered a really great, it's not quite a probiotic, it's called a sporebiotic.
Okay.
And what's cool about a sporebiotic is that way back when our grandparents used to like picnic out, and there would be a little dirt, on their food, let's say, and they bit into their apple, and they would naturally sporify their body, meaning they would put, the good stuff in. Spores, unlike bacteria, can get through the stomach lining. So probiotic or bacteria, like a really good probiotic that has a great cell wall around it and stuff, you're still not guaranteed to get even half of what's promised. It can't get through the stomach lining. It's too unstable, it's too acidic. So the spores, 99% to 100% can get through the stomach lining, and it has a long lifespan in the body, in the gut. And
So I go on mushroom hunting. Would that be?
no, it's specifically called, there's a product called Megaspore Biotic.
Oh, okay.
It's a physician's exclusive. It's relatively new onto the market in America, but Spore Biotic's been big in Europe for a really long time. This is a multi-spore biotic, so it's pretty amazing. There's one strain of it that actually boosts the immune system.
And how would they test it? Through kinesiology, or there's actually blood tests?
In terms of what they're doing, there's
Yeah.
all kinds of research that's been done on it. Actually, they're working with a pharmaceutical company on the Spore Biotic and its benefits.
Are we need to wrap this up? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, we got a minute, so
Okay.
yeah, and we could probably go for hours. But you were giving the top three.
Easily.
You've given two. One more.
In terms of what to eat, well, I said eat like you're living off the land. Proteins, veggies, fruit and water in between, good quality grains if you're going to do grains, quinoa, brown rice or wild rice, black rice. And then avoid some of those inflammatory foods, the refined sugars, the corn, the wheat, things like that.
The soy.
I will say that just that alone is 80% of healing. It truly is. It is the baseline. The fuel we put in, it really does affect how we function. I have miracle stories that have happened from people of all ages, anywhere from newborns to people in their 90s.
I got to cut you off. For more information about Dr. Cari, Infinity Foundation InnerQuest Talk Show, stay tuned. Let's not forget, for more information about Dr. Cari, stay tuned to the credits at the end. Until next time, wish you good health, good spirits, and good fortune. Dr.
Thank
Cari,
you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
For more information about this show, our guest, Infinity Foundation, or any of our other programs, please visit our website, infinityfoundation.org, or call us at 847-831-8828.